Hi and welcome back. Today I'm switching things up, and instead of the normal talking head video like you're used to, I'm going to take you on a walk with me around Strasbourg, France. Along the way, I'll share a little bit about Strasbourg's history, and I'll take you to 7 must-see destinations if you ever visit this charming city. And if you stick around to the end, I have a funny story about a bakery encounter that put my language skills to the test. Hope you enjoy. Let's get started. Good morning. I am today in Strasbourg, France, and I am walking along the canal, heading down into the main part of town. And I will be crossing over this canal in a minute, and then I will go over to where the covered bridges are, as well as Petite France and some of the other attractions. So I will be talking about them as I get to them. But for now, I just wanted to give a quick history of Strasbourg, which is an interesting town because over the last basically 400 years, it has swapped back and forth between French and German occupation. And the most recent was after the war, World War II, German occupation. But now it's actually the European Center for Parliament. So it's right on the border of France and Germany, but it is in France. Before this, it was actually under Celtic rule for a while, Roman rule for a while, and let me check my notes. Frankish occupation, as well as the Holy Roman Empire again after that. So it's kind of gone back and forth over the years. I am now crossing over the canal. This is the canal path that I'm on, and as you can see, there's lots of people cycling, running, and it's very active. And on the other side, you can see, not currently, but there's a path over there, and there's been a lot of bikes going by this morning, which is one thing I do love about France, is there's a big biking culture with good bike lanes. So it's too bad I don't have my bike with me. I found this fun mural, and I thought this would be a good place to tell you another fact about Strasbourg. It is the capital of the Alsace region. And a lot of the food, because it went back from German to French to German occupation, is not the quintessential French food that you might see. It's got a little bit of a German flair to it. However, I think if you ask the people of Strasbourg, they would say it's definitely not German. So I'm still walking towards the covered bridges, which will be our next stop. But I'm walking along the river. Strasbourg itself is on the Rhine, but this is not the Rhine. But it also has a lot of canals. Museum of Modern Art. And then this is the Barage Vauban. So they're called the Pont, Couvert. And these covered bridges once served as a vital defense system for the city. Originally, there were 5 bridges, each connected by towers that served as lookouts and defense structures. While only 3 of the 4 original towers remain, they continue to offer a unique glimpse into the medieval military architecture. So now I have the Barage Vauban behind me, and then I have the other covered bridges back here. So if you have mobility issues, being here might be a little bit of a pain because, as you can see, there's a lot of cobblestone. There are some smooth spots though, so you could try to stay on this side, but it is quite busy, so it may be a little bit difficult to navigate. This is Petite France, and it is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, famed for its half-timbered houses, narrow winding streets, and charming canals. It used to be a hub for tanners and fishermen, but now it's a bustling area filled with boutique shops, cozy cafes, and vibrant restaurants. You can see that even in January, when you would think that nobody was here, there are people walking around. That boat has quite a few people on it, and it's not even a weekend. So I think in the summertime, this is probably packed. Tanning and tanneries became an important part of the Petite France district from the Middle Ages onward. And buildings like this are a good example. This is the Maison du Tanneur, or the tanner's house. And you can see how it's very tall because it would hang the hides in there so they could dry. And they were all situated next to the canals because they needed water to do the tanning. This building was built in 1572, but since 1949 it has been a restaurant. Now we are standing in the Place Kleber, which is the central square in the city. As you can see, there's currently a market. So there's also shopping. You can see La Maison Rouge. There's also a shopping area over here, Galerie Lafayette. So this is a big shopping area named after this guy in the middle, Kleber. What this square is well known for is the giant Christmas tree. Normally this would be a Christmas market, but it's over. Christmas is over, so it's just a market. Behind me is the Cathedral of Notre Dame. Look at that baby. The construction for it was started in 1015 and completed in 1439, and is a mix of Romanesque and Gothic architectural styles. So this is the line to get in. You can see why people love this city so much. It's like a fairy tale. Fairy tale city. You can see that Strasbourg has a mix of architecture with half-timbered houses over here and then more French buildings over here. And that's because over the years it went back and forth between French and German occupation. In fact, the Alsatians, who have a language of their own, had to go back and forth between being under French rule and German rule over the years. Now they've been in France for quite a while, so I think most of them consider themselves French, or at least the younger ones. But from what I've heard, some of the older ones still have memories of fighting against their neighbors in some of the wars. This statue behind me represents I'm going to get closer to it in a minute, but it represents the wars and the fact that the Alsace region went back and forth between Germany and France. So supposedly these are, this is, I believe the lady is the Alsace region. She represents that. And then the two men represent basically Germany and France, even though they were essentially fighting on the same side. So because a lot of times the people were split up, even though they were all part of the Alsace region, it was split into Germany and France when they were fighting each other, and people had to fight against their neighbors, their cousins, their brothers, and everything. So that's why they're holding hands in death, because they are neighbors or brothers or cousins or whatever, but they couldn't hold hands in battle because they had to fight each other. Okay, so I went to the bakery and I said to her in French that I would like a half of a baguette. So they have a small baguette instead of a large baguette, demi-baguette, and I was gonna get a chocolate croissant, so I kind of halfway said it, pain au, and then I saw that they had cinnamon rolls. So I switched it up in the middle, which I normally am uncomfortable doing because it's already hard enough to try to speak a different language, and you definitely don't want to switch in mid-stride. But she understood me, and she said, so you don't want the pain au chocolat? And I said, no. And she gave me the cinnamon roll. But then I tried to use my Amex, which the tap to pay didn't work. So she told me, this is all in French, by the way, just stick it in the hole. So I stuck it in the hole and pulled it back out, and then it canceled the transaction because I did it too fast. So then I stuck it in the hole again, and I swear the screen said that I could take my card out, but it didn't. So I pulled it out too fast again. So then she starts speaking English to me, and I was like, man, I thought I was doing so good too. Anyway, the best part about that story, though, is that I got, let's see if we can see it. This lovely thing. So that's my lunch.